It is time. It is a special edition of AJ Bocchini's Sports Mafia. The Don of Sports Debate has a very special guest, and he will introduce him and give his usual wonderful words of wisdom to all of you out there.
Yes, sir.
With that, we will go to AJ Bocchini.
What's up, Jack? Well, first of all, thanks, Matt. Thanks to Coach Matt Mackerzak for making some time for us today. For those who don't know, Matt and I have known each other since high school. Since he was at Elkhart Lake, I was at Kohler, and he's worked his way up, and now he's head coach of Division II Northern Michigan. So
Very
um,
cool.
I'll
Welcome,
let
Coach.
I'll let Matt get into his background a little bit, but yeah, he's worked his way up from. Did you start at Green Bay? Is that right?
Yeah, Green Bay is a manager. Yeah.
See, this is a manager success story, Jack. Unlike some of us, but yeah, but it's good. It's good. It's good. So I'll let Matt get into his background, but yeah,
Thanks for having me. I think also we were vague neighbors with your family when I was like 2 or 3 years old in Kohler.
yes,
I,
sir.
I don't remember any of it. I think we left Kohler when I was like 3 years old. So we knew each other in high school, but I think your parents probably saw me running around in my diapers when I was a little kid. So it was
Yes,
definitely
sir. Yes, sir.
yeah, no, thanks for having me, and yeah, this should be fun.
So, Matty, let's get right into it. You started at Green Bay, right, as a manager. Then did you went to where did you went to? Was it Bemidji after that?
Chadron State, Nebraska for 2 years. I've been in a lot of weird, random locations. That's the one of the beauties of D2 basketball in particular is they tend to be in just odd places. So Chadron, Nebraska, which is right on the corner of Nebraska, South Dakota, Colorado, and Wyoming. And then I went to Bemidji, Minnesota for 4 years, and then ended up coming 1 year at Brian Stratton in Milwaukee as a head coach. The other ones were as an assistant. And then this is going to be just got done with year 6, going on year 7 at Northern Michigan.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's a long journey, man. I give you all the credit in the world. That's a long journey. But talk about what started your passion for coaching. You obviously played at Elkhart, but really, what started your, what made you think when you were younger, I'm gonna be a coach. I may not be able to play this game, but I'm gonna be a coach.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So I wasn't very good. And basketball is definitely small schools. You play basketball is definitely my worst sport. I was a lot better at football, golf, even baseball. I'm probably better. And but I started coaching my brother, who was younger, in like fourth grade YMCA basketball, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of fun," and never really thought much of it. Probably the first time I ever thought of college basketball was we had a team playing the Dean's Food Classic, which was like a graduation, postgraduate tournament, and it was me and a bunch of my buddies from all over the place, and we ended up playing a team that had a bunch of D1 guys on it and most of my friends were D3 guys. We ended up beating them, so I'm like, oh yeah, this is easy. I can do this thing, and we can just grab players, and then I can coach them. And because I knew I wasn't good enough to play, I was the 10th guy in that team, and mostly standing there clapping on the sidelines. But I didn't put it together, so I figured, well, maybe putting it together is the better pathway rather than going and playing at a small Division 3 school, which is probably where inevitably my basketball career would have gone if I did do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Talk about Brian and Stratton has been a a jumping off point for a lot of coaches. Yourself, Coach Ruff, who's there now, um, Jake Gritzmacher, who's at lacrosse. But talk about what Brian did for you in terms of just serving as the one you. I know you were only there for 1 year, but talk about just as a jumping off point, how that really helped you in your journey.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see how successful Brian Stratton's been after I left. Because like a lot of things in life. I think once you determine you're happy at a spot, you're content with being somewhere. That's usually when you have chances to leave. And after my first year there, I was like, this is perfect. This is great. I turned down some assistant stuff that year. There were some junior colleges that were bigger and had more money that jobs were open that I got contacted about. I'm like, nope, I'm staying. I love it. I'm in Milwaukee. I love Milwaukee. I'm close to family. And then the Northern Michigan job came open, and it was like I had to do it almost because it was such a significant jump up. I didn't know if I would get that opportunity again. But when I look back on the Brian Stratton thing, I think they've done a great job hiring because they've had the courage to hire people that hadn't been head coaches yet. They've had the courage
Yeah.
to hire people outside of junior college, which sometimes is hard. I think there's a stigma that in order to win at junior college, you need to hire junior college people. And JT was, but Ruff was a Division III assistant at the time,
Yeah.
and I was a Division II assistant. I think having the courage to be able to go hire a young person first of all, which a lot of places are opposed to, and then hire someone without head coaching experience, it's really worked for them. And they're great people. It's been the same administration since I was there, and I just think they have a good eye for hiring coaches that they're okay with moving on and moving up, because that's the point of junior college in the first place is to find people that can move on and up into the 4 year level. And it's kind of fun to watch all the success that others have had there, as well as obviously I'm super appreciative that I got my start there.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, talk about, let's get into your current role. You had the pleasure of, uh, the honor of coaching against Izzo this year. What was that like? Talk about what was that like in terms of, he's a Northern Michigan guy. For those who don't know, he's a Northern Michigan alumni, and just talk about what that was like in your football stadium and selling out stuff like that. What was that like?
It was like somewhere between reminded me of my wedding weekend in some ways, and then it reminded me of like a dream in another way. It was like it was everybody that was associated with Northern Michigan basketball was all back for it, and so you had all these alumni constantly just running around and talking to people. It was one event, then the next event, then the next event, but it was all good. It was just so much fun. And even I've watched it on Big Ten Network a few times. Like Bill Rafferty announced the game, so I got a
Yeah.
chance to meet Bill Rafferty. I mean, stuff like that is just there were so many many cool things within the basketball game portion of it. And then when we got to the game, it was there's no consequence, but we didn't want to embarrass ourselves, so it was really
Right.
important
Is that
not to you don't want to lose by 40. You don't want to not put up a fight. And Izzo being the most important person in Northern Michigan basketball history, you really didn't want to impress him in some way. I was really proud of our guys for being able to block out all that kind of distractions that we provided and play well. We kept it. I think we lost by 16 or 17.
mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty respectable for a D2 playing a Big Ten school. Um,
Awesome.
I thought we really enjoyed it, and we tried to focus on fun and joy and enjoying ourselves. And I think for me that was a big learning lesson of maybe we can try to play that way more throughout the season in those big moments. Like instead of focusing on all the pressure, which there was, just really try to lose yourself in enjoying it. Well played as hard as you can, which were really the only things going into it that we were focused on.
Now, go backwards a little bit. Go, if you can. We kind of crossed paths early, but go backwards because you were the first coach who really was the first coach to receive the finish and use the finish mantra with your guys. So I appreciate that, and I just wanted to go because I just wanted to, you have totally embraced it with your guys, and now with I don't know if I can mention his name on air, but now with one of my guys coming to you, it's just awesome to come full
Full
circle,
circle.
and it's just awesome to come full circle and seeing you do your thing, and it's. But talk a little bit about that. What made you want to embrace that with your guys in terms of just embracing the whole mentality with your guys?
Yeah, so I think well we can say because he's signed now. So We
Yeah.
couldn't have a few weeks ago, though. It was
Right.
crazy. So Trevor Polite from Homestead, who obviously you've coached, is coming to Northern, and we're super excited about
Yes,
him.
sir.
But to go back to the question, it was so that was our first breakthrough year. We've been here. It's been year 4 for me, and we've
Right.
been building from bad to average to good. And we were coming off a year we went 18-12, and we at the end of the previous season, we'd gone on a big run at the end, made the conference championship game,
Mm-hmm.
and we're one game away from making the NCAA tournament, and we ended up lasted by about 30. So the timing of it was also perfect in the sense of the Finnish mantra and your story and all the adversity you've pushed through in basketball in sports. It really fit kind of where we were at as a program and what we were trying to get to, which was breaking through that last step. And
Yep.
I think in some ways turning around, something from bad to good is not easy, but it's doable. That last step of going from good to breaking to becoming a champion, I think finishing that process, it requires so much more daily effort and not having those lulls. And that season we went 25-8, won the conference championship. We've now won 3 conference championships in a row. We've made 3 NCAA tournaments in a row. And I think that idea of finishing seasons and finishing days and stacking those finished days and those finished games into finished seasons, I really think that resonated to me, and I think it resonated with our whole team, and was really a perfect kind of mindset for us going into that year. So I appreciate you letting us know some of that.
Awesome. Yeah, my pleasure. My
Perfect.
pleasure. Talk about, give us a little bit behind the scenes. Like, what is a day in the life of Matt Mackenzie in terms of a head coaching day in, let's say, it's April 15th? What does a day in the life look like for you? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see that you have to do in April. That, especially now with the portal and you got 7 freshmen coming in and all of that. What does a day in the life look like for you? I mean, in terms of just the routine. Like, obviously, I'm not sure. Do you have to teach? Do you teach a class on there, or are you just full time coach?
I don't. I'm lucky. We're lucky at Northern where we don't have any teaching responsibilities, but it
Awesome.
is it's probably the part that when I talk to non college basketball coaches, like my high school friends, or they kind of have this image of we show up in November, we coach, and then we end in March, and that's it. And maybe there's some recruiting in there,
Right.
um,
Exactly.
but it's almost the opposite. I think the season for me is the most relaxing part in some ways. You're in a routine, you know what each day looks like. You're coaching basketball, you're not doing other things. Now it's like it's fundraising, especially now with the NIL era. I think we're all kind of thinking about is that part of our job now, fundraising NIL money. We're not quite Northern, but we might get there. We're talking about it. It's scheduling, it's doing budgets, it's a lot of the boring stuff where it almost becomes an office job, unfortunately, for a
Right.
month or two, get ready for all that kind of stuff. And I don't enjoy that part, but it's as important as anything else. And then the new wrinkle is with our 7 freshmen, we've been able to avoid it a little bit this year. But it used to be your season ended, you went on a 2-week vacation, you had your next year's team signed. Now it's like season ends, who's portaling out, who's portaling in,
Right.
and you're just in this constant grind of we got to add players, we got to help guys move on to their next spots, and I don't enjoy it. I don't like it. I don't think anyone really wishes that was
What's up, boys?
how it
Yeah.
is. I coach basketball.
Get ready for some steaks?
The end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about the importance of, you've obviously dipped into the Wisconsin high school scene with a lot of your recruits coming in. Just talk about the importance of the relationships with coaches and the importance of maintaining, even though you're 6 hours away or so, maintaining the relationships with, I'll just throw his name out there, the Sean Kriders, the the Wisconsin coaches, just to maintain the base, shall we say?
Yeah. I think that's, when I interviewed here, I talked about it a little bit, but I shouldn't have gotten this job. I'd been 1 year as a junior college head coach, and for someone like that in Division II as a head coach was kind of a wild leap that our athletic director made at the time. And my whole interview was, we're going to dominate Wisconsin. Yes, it's Michigan. Yeah, we're in Michigan, but we're also in the UP, and we're a lot closer to Milwaukee and Green Bay than we are Detroit and Saginaw and
Yes.
Grand Rapids. So it's been our base. It's been what we've done. And the nice part for me was I coached AU. I'd done the junior college thing. So a lot of those coaches now, it's not a maintaining a relationship because I have to do it for work. They're just guys that are my friend. I genuinely am checking in on them. In for the most case, a lot of those guys, well, they don't have players for us. Like you mentioned, Coach Kreider. Well, this is the first Homestead guy we've gotten, but this isn't the first time. It wasn't like I formed that relationship this year to get to know him the first time.
Right.
And the part that I think people don't maybe realize about recruiting, even in coaching circles, is it, I do a lot of the actual recruiting on the back end, but most of the evaluations are just me asking people I trust. I for the most part, before I ever go and watch a kid play, I've had 5 or 6 people tell me about him and say, "Hey, you should check this guy out, or you're gonna love him." I mean, sometimes it's funny. There's seventh graders right now that I have people like, "Hey, I'm watching a seventh grader, and I bet you're gonna recruit him in 4 years," and you laugh because you're like, "There's no way." But some of those seventh graders that I first found out about are now the kids that we're getting and recruiting. And
Right. Exactly.
Tinson from Marshfield, I knew about him in seventh, eighth grade. People were saying, "Yeah, he's going to be a perfect fit for you, and you're going to love him." And sure enough, you fast forward 5 years, and he's coming to Northern football. So it's fun getting those relationships that are longer and more meaningful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love, I love the fact that you reached out to me on a couple of things besides the podcast, and I love the fact that maintaining the relationship with the coaches, the importance of that, because it's bigger. Like you said, it's bigger than basketball. It's not just a basketball thing. It's not just recruiting. It's setting the kids up for life, too. In addition, so I love that. Love that. Talk about what's the. Okay, so what's the. I'll lead with this. What is the next step for Northern Michigan basketball? I mean, you've been in the national tournament 3 years in a row. You've won 3 conference titles. What is the next? What if you had your perfect world? What would the next goal be for NMU basketball?
Yeah, that's the hard one, right? Like, so we've gotten, I would say, great now. We're great. We're one of the better programs in the country, but we haven't won a national title. We haven't played the Final Four. There's some limitations to, in the UP, what kind of players you can get nationally. We can be really good at getting the best local players, but how do we get? Because at the end of the day, I think the players are what wins, obviously. So it's how do we get better players? Well, this year we have a kid coming from North Carolina. We have a really good kid from Illinois and Minnesota. I think we got to branch out a little bit and maintain our base in Wisconsin, but add a little bit more of that national flavor in our roster. And the goal now is we got to try to win a national title. Our league's been good enough to win national titles in the past. The Midwest has been really, really good. Florida and the Midwest lately, as far as who's winning the national title in D2. So how do you go from what I would call great to being the best? I don't know yet. We're trying to figure that out, and that's that next wall we got to try to break through. And we're working hard at it. But if it was really hard to go from being a 20-win team to being a champion in your league, it's even harder to go from champion league to national. And that's the next challenge, and it's exciting, but it's also going to be difficult.
Right. Awesome. Every challenge has every step has there's steps. There's obviously steps to this, right? So, um, it's great, and I love what you do because I love how you post it on social media, and let everyone in on the journey, and put your emotions into the game, like after a game out there, so people can see this is me. This is not just a show. This is not just you know, this is us, and this is how I feel after a game. So I love that. I love that. So um, I'll let him wrap it with this, man. So if you if you're obviously implanted in Northern Michigan, so what is your personal goal? Let's step off the floor for a second. What is your personal goal in terms of the next in terms of where you see the program in, like, let's say 5 years or so? You know, you're in year what's you said entering year seven
End of
right
year
now?
6 on to 7. Yeah.
On a
Yeah.
seven. So where do you let's just call it what it is. Where do you see the program in year 10?
Yeah.
Where would you like to see the program in year 10?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think there's multiple things there. I think the biggest thing is how do we, in the current climate where everything's changing with the
Yes,
portal,
right.
and how do we maintain our culture? How do we maintain our relationships? And we have to keep looking at new ways to do it because, like Max Weisbrod was the Player of the Year as a sophomore. He transferred to Northern Iowa. I think traditional coaches and traditional players, that will be the end, and not we don't like each other, we left, and that's that. Instead, with that, we've tried to make it the opposite. I'm still close to Max. I talk to Max all the time. I watch 20 some Northern Iowa games. I think the challenge outside of the winning, which again is obviously part of it, is how do you maintain, the year 25 through the next 5 years, 10 years? How do you maintain that old school culture and family environment, knowing that the current rules are set up in a way that we're not going to have everybody for 4 or 5 years already. There's going to be guys that leave. We're going to have guys come in for a year and not play enough and leave for playing time. We're going to have guys come in and be players of the year, and they're going to leave to go make some NIL money because when you get offered $150,000, you might have to take it. That's the reality of life. And just because we don't all love how the system's set up, as a basketball fan, as much as a coach, it doesn't mean that we can't find ways to maintain relationships throughout this thing in a different way. And I think for us, at Northern Michigan, for me as a coach, for a lot of the kind of new coaches, younger coaches, I think that's the part we're all trying to grapple with: is how do we maintain the fun of it? Because if it only comes down to winning basketball games, I'll go do something else because it's not that part's stressful. It's not fun. It's hard. It's difficult, and the money isn't worth it for all that stuff. There's other ways to do that. So to me, you still have to have that family environment, the relationship, the development. Otherwise, again, I just would go do something else. And I think finding the way to do that in the modern era, the modern world, is really, really important.
Right. Like, if winning was the end all, we wouldn't do it, right?
Yeah, it would.
We wouldn't do it. We don't. We don't. We do it to win, but we do it as winning as a benefit. It's not the end all. So I love that. I love that. Last question for you.
AJ, this is your third last question now. Coach is going to say, "Hey,
No.
AJ, you're going to give me a technical."
No,
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Keep firing away.
no. If so, first of all, I truly appreciate you coming on today. It's very candid look at it. I don't think most people get a look at a D2, first of all, because they're not on the say the quote unquote big stage yet. So I just want to I guess I don't have a question. It's more of an appreciation for you for coming on with us and giving us time. And it's funny that you come on today, Matt, because my I got a text this morning from Fox 6, and my story is coming out on Thursday. So talk about a full circle moment. Just have you on from the start, from where we started back at Elkhart and Kohler, and have you on today has been a true joy. So I appreciate that, and keep those Instagram posts coming, and keep up the good work, and keep tabs on Trevor for me, because we all know he needs it. So yeah. So
No, thank you, AJ. I mean, Trevor's phenomenal. We're super excited to have him. That connection is cool. And no, I watching everything you're doing is great. And I think the beauty of social media is similar to the transfer portal, gets a bad rap, and there's some
Yes,
parts I think we all know aren't perfect, but the flip side is it's awesome because it allows me to follow you and you to follow our program
yeah. My goal, Maddie, is to still get up there someday and come see how you run things and come see how you do things. So I know we tried to do it when Coach Walrath was there, but I think now that we're both in better spots, that I think we'll be well connected for a long time. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and let's definitely make that happen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jack.
Okay, thanks, Coach. We really appreciate it. I'm glad to hear good things about Coach Izzo. He's the only Big Ten coach besides the Badgers we root for. We love him at our family, so it's good to hear.
He's the best.
So very cool. But continued good luck and hard work. Luck never hurts, but we know that that's not what it makes the difference. People like you do. So we really appreciate your time, and I'm glad you can put up with AJ. It's not easy.
No, this program was great too. Everything worked smooth. I've done a few of these, and this was as smooth as anything I've ever done. So, awesome.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks much.
Thanks,
Have a great
man.
day.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Bye.